Hey, hey, what's going on, fellas? It's Czar here. Long time no see. I was popping back in now that I've got things a little more under control. I might start posting more consistently again. With another Master Duel video. Today, talking about one of my most favorite decks and its potential with the combination of the new release of Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer in the new event, the Fusion Festival. Now, you feel free to point out anyone who's made a video on this before me, because I don't think anyone has this deck even on their radar. But in the Fusion Festival, everyone is playing Phoenix Enforcer, and Cosmo is undeniably one of the best Phoenix Enforcer decks that there is. Reason why, plain and simple, every major card in the deck benefits off of destruction, including destroying your own cards, which a lot of the times the Cosmo cards even like doing to themselves. But Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer just helps facilitate that a lot easier. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a deck breakdown here, and we might jump into some replays later on. But I'm going to, just as a heads up, explain this deck as if no one has ever heard of it, because there might be like 6 people, if that, who play this at Master Duel at all, let alone in the Fusion Festival. So let's go ahead and get started. Cosmo Tin Can is one of the first of the psychics. They henceforth referred to as pilots. They all have the quick effect to banish themselves to special summon a higher level Cosmo than itself from your hand. So we won't need to explain that repeatedly. Cosmo Tin Can is level 1. He has the unique effect of once per turn during the end phase, you reveal 3 Cosmos with different names, that's Cosmo Cards, so monster spells traps, from your deck, and your opponent randomly chooses one. That one goes to your hand, the other 2 go to the graveyard. So, a lot of synergy there with things that we'll be talking about later. We'll explain that more when it comes, but this is very good for you getting your combos going. Honestly, just the best starter in the deck. But as for the best actual pilot in the deck, I think once you get the ball rolling even just a little bit, Cosmo's Strawman. So he's level 2. During either player's turn, banish level 3 for level 3 or higher, so he's level 2. His unique effect is once per turn, not quick effect. You can pay 500 life, target a banished Cosmo, and special summon it with its effects negated, and destroy it during the end phase. That's very important. So this guy helps you swarm the field, go for OTKs, get ammunition for your DPE pops, get ammunition to pop things with your Dark Destroyer, which we'll talk about soon. So you can keep summoning monsters and keep pushing for game. This deck is very good at pushing for lethal. Next up we have one Cosmo Farm Girl. She's great if you're in a position to close out a game, which is why we only play one of her, because if you see her, that's great. If you have E-Telly and you can close out a game with her, you just bring her out of the deck with it. So you're essentially playing 3 copies anyway. But she, like all the others, summon a higher level Cosmo, so 4 or higher. Her unique effect is when she deals battle damage, you can pay 500 life, add a Cosmo card from the hand. Just straight up. Best searcher in the deck if you can actually resolve it. Can be a little hard sometimes. It's usually for closing out games. Next up, we have one Cosmo Good Witch. This one's up to you. I like it because Book of Moon's a good card. I just wish that she was a quick effect. So level 4, so she can summon a level 5 or higher. Her unique effect is once per turn, you can pay 500 life, target a face-up monster your opponent controls, and Book of Moon it, flip it face down. So just very good for forcing disruption. Like if you normal summon this and your opponent doesn't want a DPE, you target the DP with this, it forces them to either use it or lose it, at which point you can then chain this one's quick effect to summon a ship from hand, which won't be disrupted by the DP because they've already used it. So, I think it's pretty good. We have one Wicked Witch, the highest attack normal summon monster in the deck. This is important for things like Kaiser Coliseum. But her unique effect, she's also level 4, so she can summon 5 or higher from hand. Once per turn, quick effect, you can pay 1,000 life. This card becomes indestructible by battle or card effects. So, if you find yourself in a situation where maybe you bricked because this deck's one weakness is losing it to itself, lots of high-level monsters in here that you can't just summon for free. So you can sit on this, maybe under a Kaiser Coliseum if you're lucky, and just if you need to, keep paying 1,000 instead of dying, and just wall up with this until you get cards that you need. Celestial, you need it for Fusion Destiny. So we're playing 2 Slip Rider. This is the first of the ships, the machines of the deck, and they're all level 5 or higher. So they all have effects, unique effects, and they all have the shared effect. It's the inverse of the pilots, so they can summon a lower level Cosmo monster when they are destroyed from the deck. So Slip Rider can summon a 4 or lower, etc., etc. His unique effect is that on summon, he can destroy a spell or trap. It's that simple, and it's very good. And archetype spell and trap removal, very, very good. We're playing 1 Dark Lady. She is the only pilot that's not normal summonable, without a tribute, of course. But she can summon a 6 or higher from hand. And she can, once per turn, quick effect, pay 1,000 life, negate and destroy a monster. So she's a monster negate. This is very good to float into with one of your 6 or highers. For just added disruption after your opponent destroys one, or you destroy yourself. Maybe you DPE pop a Dark Destroyer, and the opponent's monster float into this, and then you have it negate as well. It's very good. We're playing 1 Cosmo Landwalker. This one's questionable. You can opt not to play it, but I like Landwalker because it's the best 6. And so when you need to go down the level ladder from, 8, 7, 5, the only other 6 is a Cosmo Dogfighter, and it's not very good. But Landwalker summons a 5 or lower from deck, and when it's destroyed, and if a Cosmo card you control would be destroyed by battle or an opponent's card effect, you can destroy any other Cosmo card you control instead. That includes other ships, so you can float at your discretion with whatever you want, and it also includes the field spell, which is important for reasons we'll get to when we get down to the field spell. 2 Cosmo Forerunner. This starts the gimmick of all the 7 and higher Cosmos. They cannot be targeted by your opponent's card effects. So anything that targets, Forbidden Chalice, Impermanence, just any effect that targets cannot hit these guys, which is nice. His normal effect is not that great, there's no time rules in Master Duel, but gaining 1,000 life, it can matter. If you're stalling a game, maybe you're sitting on this in a simplified game state, just gaining life and gaining life for survivability. Also to fuel your life point cost effects, because all your pilots pay life points to get their effects. And like all the other ships, he can summon a lower level, so 6 or lower when he's destroyed from deck. Triple Dark Destroyer, the bread and butter of the deck. Untargetable. On summon, he destroys a monster, and he floats into a 7 or lower. So he's a big, untargetable, beefy beat stick at 3,000 attack, and if your opponent manages to destroy him, he just summons out a free level 7 2,800 beat stick that also can't be targeted. So you can see where this deck gets out of hand. You're summoning this, popping something, they destroy it. You're summoning something else untargetable, it's annoying. Destroy this, you float into a negate or a spell and trap pop. They destroy that, you float into a pilot, and you summon another Dark Destroyer from hand, and you start the loop again. So you can see how this would annoy your opponent. And the last unique one, Dark Eclipser. I like him at 1, especially with trap decks running around a lot in this Fusion Festival for people who don't want to build fusion decks. Also can't be targeted. He can, not once per turn, banish a Cosmo from your graveyard to negate and destroy a trap that your opponent, or just any trap, I suppose, but usually your opponent is the one you want to be negating. So very good, and if you can load up a graveyard with the Eclipser against a trap deck on the field, you just win. Your opponent can't do anything, they can't activate any of their traps, it's just a win. He is unique in that he can't summon Dark Destroyer from deck because he doesn't summon from deck. He searches, so he can add Dark Destroyer from deck to hand, which is not as good, but adding Dark Destroyer to hand is still, like, way better than nothing, just seeing another way to see him. 1 Terraforming to search the field spell, which we'll explain in a second. Fusion Destiny, summons DPE for free, which helps facilitate this deck a lot. And then Cosmo Town. So this thing has 3 effects. Once per turn, you can return a banished Cosmo monster to your hand by paying life points equal to 100 times its level. So those Dark Destroyers that your opponent may have been outing, or may have outed last turn and started that floating loop we mentioned, add it back to your hand, and you can start the loop again with the same Dark Destroyer. Another effect of it is you can Mulligan. Yeah, this deck has a Mulligan. Thunder Dragon's not the only one. You can reveal any number of Cosmo monsters in your hand, shuffle them back into the deck, and draw the same number of cards. So you can dig for your Fusion Destiny, you can unbrick your hands, you can dig for traps, whatever you need. It's a great effect, just mulligans. It's an advantage that you have in this deck that others don't. Lastly, if this card in the field zone is destroyed by a card effect, add a Cosmo card from deck to hand. You can see how that might be good. Popping this with DPE. So, let's say you open like a monster free hand. You only open like spells, traps, and Fusion Destiny, and this. You summon DPE, you activate Cosmo Town, you use DPE to pop itself in Cosmo Town, you search your tin can, you normal summon the tin can because that does not restrict, Fusion Destiny does not restrict you from normal summoning for the turn, and you get your search and you get your ships in your hand and you pop off from there without any monsters in hand. So it's this card facilitates everything so well. Double Kaiser Coliseum. Sitting on a Dark Destroyer while your opponent can only have 1 monster. There's not a lot of decks that can do anything about that, if any. Not even really True Draco. Unless they, tribute a summon and pop it. But in a simplified game state, no Draco monster is going to be able to beat over a Dark Destroyer by itself. 2 emergency teleport. Tutors any of these 3 from the deck. Tin Can, Strawman, Farm Girl, for free. So very, very good. Cosmo Joe is a trap card that allows you to target a Cosmo you control, destroy it, and you are allowed to target the bigger ones too. They only say your opponent can't target it. You can target them. So target a Cosmo you control, destroy it, and then banish a card either in your opponent's field or in their graveyard. So DPE is not dodging this. You can out a DPE with this easily. And there's nothing they can do about it once it's activated. Or just general removal. Thunder Dragon Colossus on the field, hard out, banish it. DP, banish it. Just anything. We're playing 2 Duster. It's a trap trick target. It can pop Cosmo Town for a search. Just generally good for back row removal. It's a 2-for-1. I was playing MST, but I decided this deck plays at a pace, and this whole format plays at a pace where you can afford Duster over MST. I haven't regretted it since changing it. And the plus side, you get to play 5 copies with 3 Trap Trick. And we're playing 2 back to the front. So this card is traditionally played in Cosmo, but in DPE Cosmo it serves a little bit more of a purpose because Super Poly is very rampant. So your opponent may often be using their resources to Super Poly away your, say, a Dark Destroyer to DPE on your field, and that just really sucks. But with back to the front, you can either get back a Cosmo if you feel like it's more pertinent, or you can summon back that DPE that was fused off with Super Poly and get it back into rotation so it's popping itself and coming back every turn again. So Super Poly in this deck on your DPE is not the end-all be-all for your DPE. So it's another advantage as to why DPE is so good in this deck, because the Revival traps have a home here, and they work for DPE just as well as the ships. This is also good for reviving the ships that you dump off of Tin Can. It's the primary reason you play this card. The 2 that you don't get to add to your hand off the Tin Can effect in the end phase, you can choose whichever one you want to revive it anyway and get into circulation, so it's very good. Free Trap Trick, just 3 wild cards to let us play 3 more copies of all of our traps without fluffing the deck up too much. so we're at an even 40, and we can see Fusion Destiny as much as possible. Um, and then lastly, I just threw 15 into an extra deck. None of this matters, except for this guy. So, no need to explain him. He's been running rampant in the game ever since his release, just like he has in the TCG. Just pops every turn. Dryden's too OP. Nothing more needs to be said. But yeah, there's the in-depth explanation of Cosmo and how they work. Tune back in soon, and I'll have some replay commentary for you. Show you how I've been doing. All right, guys, let me know what you want to see in the comments below after this. We'll see if we can't get on it. And yeah, peace.